The Jurassic Park movie series is perfectly familiar to all fans of adventure cinema. This is one of the most popular Hollywood franchises, and it owes its success not only to the directing and producing talent of Steven Spielberg, but also to the phenomenal work of special effects masters who managed to create convincing dinosaurs for the big screen. Well, I'll tell you how these fossil monsters came to life on the screen and changed the film industry. As a child, Steven Spielberg was very fond of dinosaurs. In classic King Kong, the director recalled, he was interested in them rather than the main monster. And Spielberg's youth generally fell on the so-called renaissance of dinosaurs. New discoveries of paleontologists in the 1960s changed the idea of the habits, lifestyle, and appearance of ancient reptiles. The jaws that made Spielberg famous were a tribute to this fashion. A giant shark is a monster from the past, a contemporary of dinosaurs. And Spielberg himself later stated that Jurassic Park was filmed as a kind of sequel to Jaws. The story of dinosaurs on the island was written by Michael Crichton, an anthropologist who left his career for science fiction novels. Crichton had been working in Hollywood for a long time by the time he met Spielberg. Among his most famous scenarios are the Andromeda Strain and the World of the Wild West. When Spielberg heard about the still unfinished book, he immediately wanted to stake out a film adaptation, but Crichton changed his mind. The writer asked for $1.5 million for the rights. At the same time, among the candidates for directors were Tim Burton, James Cameron, as well as the author of Deadly Weapons Richard Donner and the director of Gremlin in Joe Dante. However, Spielberg and Universal Studio, which supported him, bypassed everyone. And when the book came out, Crichton was paid another $500,000 to write the script. Malia Scotch-Marmo, with whom Spielberg worked on the film Captain Hook, was asked to rewrite the script. There are two heroes in her version. Paleontologist Grant and mathematician Malcolm turned into one hero. The idea did not catch on, and the work was picked up by David Kapp, who had just proved himself in the death of Robert Zemeckis to her face. He understood what kind of film Spielberg needed. If there is a tin in the book, then for the whole movie we only see someone's remains twice. Dinosaurs attack mercifully hidden by tall grass or a shroud of rain. The lizards themselves appear at times less than in the book and for only 15 minutes for the entire film. Partly for financial reasons, partly according to the laws of Thriller. The point is also in the concession of censorship of parental ratings. One of the main problems for the film adaptation was the numerous scientific arguments of the characters in the book. The monologues of specialists from the screen would not sound natural. Spielberg's idea of a cartoon presentation for park guests helped in part. Other scientific aspects were presented in a compressed form, and some lines did not fit in the movie, for example, uncontrolled reproduction of dinosaurs that suddenly changed gender. Scientific conversations were replaced by aimless flirting of characters with each other and funny episodes. The very tone of the story has changed. Not horror, not science fiction, but adventure. But neither the images of the characters, nor even the plot were decisive elements of the design. Everyone in the film crew immediately knew that the real heroes of this film were dinosaurs. At the preparatory stage, the question was raised about who and how to make dinosaurs. Steven Spielberg turned to special effects master Stan Winston and animator Phil Tippett. Steven Spielberg thought that since Winston designed the alien queen, he could handle a full-size model of tyrannosaurs. Sketches of prehistorical creatures were drawn by artist Crash McCreery. Stan Winston asked him to stick to the facts and materials known to paleontology at that time when working on the images. Of course, the filmmakers also turned to scientists for advice. For example, one of the project's consultants was Jack Hornet, professor of paleontology and curator of the National Museum of Natural History, who was greatly impressed by the mechanical dolls of tyrannosaurs and raptor. The visual effects studio Industrial Light and Magic was initially attracted as a company that will remove various devices for controlling dinosaur models from the frames, carry out compositing, add an image blur effect for frames with mobile prehistoric animals. They were supposed to be animated using animatronic mechanisms and go-motion technology, an improved technology for frame animation. But during the preparatory period, animators for studios under the guidance of supervisor Dennis Muren prepared an animated video with running mimes. The quality of the trial animation was so superior to the results demonstrated by the go-motion technique that Spielberg immediately decided to animate dinosaurs in the most dynamic scenes using digital technology. In order for the viewer not to see the difference between dolls and three-dimensional models, the graphic artist created dinosaurs, taking as a basis scans of layouts made by Stan Winston's masters. The integration of digital lizards was carried out taking into account the lighting in the frame and always after careful tracking. Special attention was paid to small details like splashes and dust, which made realistic interactions of computer dinosaurs with real objects of the scene. For example, in one of the episodes, a Tyrannosaurus stepped on the ground wet from the rain. The splashes of puddles were removed separately, after which they were combined with the image with the main shooting material and a computer lizard. In the film Jurassic Park, there are a total of 9 minutes of timing with animated dinosaur dolls and 6 minutes with computer-animated models of prehistoric creatures. The carnivorous dinosaur doll was made in full size, that is, the model towered almost 7 meters, it reached 12 meters in length, and the weight was over 8 tons. At the initial stage, a mock-up was made on a reduced scale, the elements of which the head, trunk and tail were numbered and cut out of plywood in profile. The cut sections were projected onto a huge sheet of plywood using an epiprojector. At the same time, their image was scaled to the size of parts of a full-scale model of the future dinosaur. The enlarged sections were cut out, assembled together and mounted on aluminum fittings. The resulting structure was covered with fine wire mesh and fiberglass, after which oily clay was applied. The sculpture was molded from oily clay, which remained damp and pliable for 16 weeks, spent by 10 artists to create a model. The molds were cast according to the model using epoxy resin material, which is used in the aerospace industry. At the final stage, a foam rubber skin was created and painting was carried out. The finished elements, the head of the trunk and the tail were put on a mechanized structure. Dinosaurs had mechanical stuffing. Stan Winston, together with his high-class team of craftsmen, made a choice in favor of hydraulics for safety reasons and the great possibilities of such mechanisms. Hydraulic cylinders and pistons were supposed to control the dinosaur's head, neck, jaw and paws. But after all, an additional system was needed to animate a huge animal carcass. One of the specialists proposed a technology that is used in the production of exercise aircraft. But this did not suit Winston fully, because he wanted to give the puppeteers more freedom so that they could control the dinosaur manually. That is why a reduced telemetric model of the dinosaur was made, which was connected to the control panel through special sensors, potentiometers. Thus, the big dinosaur repeated all the movements after the little telemetric Tyrannosaurus. The Tyrannosaurus doll was filmed exclusively in the pavilion. For close-ups, a dinosaur head model with more advanced tongue mechanisms was made separately. The predatory raptor played a leading negative role among dinosaurs. Engineers and artists have developed 2 mechanical creature dolls. Both models were controlled via wires. The shots that required the model to demonstrate full functionality were shot with the participation of 14 puppeteers. At the same time, the dinosaur control panel was at a distance of 7.5 meters. Despite the excellent mechanical dolls, a man in a raptor costume played a dinosaur in several frames. In the frames with the hatching of the raptor cubs from the egg, the filmmakers also filmed a doll. It is noteworthy that the actors in this scene saw the baby doll in action for the first time, which is probably why their reaction to what was happening turned out to be so natural and sincere. The Triceratops 3-horned dinosaur was the only prehistoric character to be filmed on a natural set in Hawaii. The specialists had only 4 months to make the doll, since according to the original production schedule, the footage with this creature was supposed to be shot at the end of the production cycle and in the pavilion, but Steven Spielberg decided to replay everything. According to the plot, a Triceratops specimen was lying on the ground, breathing heavily, while a group of researchers examined it. The dinosaur was controlled by 11 operators from a pit dug under the carcass of the animal. The actions of the puppeteers were led by Stan Winston on the radio. The film Jurassic Park received a warm reception from critics and incredibly hot from the audience. The film earned more than $900 million at the worldwide box office in 1993 and held the title of the highest-grossing film in the history of cinema until the release of James Cameron's Titanic 4 years later. Computer graphics experts agree that Jurassic Park was the turning point in the special effects industry. 6 minutes of computer animation and phenomenal audience success pushed studios to invest heavily in digital visual effects. Animatronic mechanisms have also not lost their relevance, they are still in demand and are used from time to time when creating characters. Legacy Effect is the best company in this business, the successor of Stan Winston Studio, which continues the work of the great master after his sudden death in the 2008 year. And Spielberg himself still remains the executive producer of all the films in the series. And that's it for me. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel and, of course, click on the bell to be the first to watch new releases. Well, of course, go to the playlist about how to make a movie, it's very interesting there. See you all soon.